so we're gonna blow the paint on the wings and the tail feathers. So it's gonna be our underpainting. And we're just gonna use the 3 primary colors, red, blue, and yellow. And there's, you just, whatever color speaks to you, go for it. So I'm just gonna start with depositing a little bit of paint up here. So first I'm going to just put a little bit of water down. I'll hold it up so you can see it. So I'm putting a little bit of water down. So kind of already thinking about the direction of the feather. So I'm gonna hold it up so you can see it. And here is one of the few times where I will not go on my little water control station to take that extra drop off, because I need a lot of paint. Otherwise I don't have enough to blow. So can you see how it's stopping where it's hitting the dry part, and it's running a little bit in the direction where the water is? Because that's what it does. Wherever you put water, your pigment's gonna run, whether you want it to or not. So be careful where you put the water. And so I'm gonna rinse that out, and then I'm gonna grab maybe the red. And again, I'm gonna not do my usual little pit stop. I'm just gonna put in a little bit of red, maybe here, maybe a little bit here, why not? There's no really, this is just all whatever you feel like. And I think I might just go with a little bit of yellow right away. And maybe I'll put a little bit of the yellow right here, and then I might put a little bit here. Why not? And can you see how much water I have on? It's kind of really bubbling up. Normally I would say, ooh, that's too much. But for this particular process, it's not too much. And I don't want to wiggle it back and forth too much because I don't want them all to mix. And then I'm going to grab my straw, and I'm going to get it behind the paint, and I'm holding my paper a little bit in the direction I want it to go. And I want it to go in the direction of the feathers, and I'm gonna give it kind of a blow. And I think I can get another one. There, okay, how fun was that? It was so much fun. So, and see how then they mix and mingle? And so you get all sorts of colors, and you also get some neutrals, and it's just a lot of fun. And I think it's a wonderful way to learn about how the colors interact.
And you call this wet on dry?
This is kind of wet on dry to a certain degree, but I am loading a lot of water in there, so it's kind of a combo. The other was wet into wet, where you wet the whole thing. Here, I'm wetting a little area, putting a lot of pigment, and then blowing it. So it's kind of an untraditional method. It's not kind of, it is. And so I'm gonna go and do a little bit more here, the rest of the feathers here. And you know, don't worry, you can go and do more. You can layer it and stuff like that. So I'm just gonna put a little bit more water and just kind of get the first coat on the whole wing. So I put a little bit of water down there, and now I'm gonna go, maybe I'll start with the yellow this time around. Put a little bit of yellow on here, and maybe a little bit here. And what am I gonna do now? Maybe I'm gonna grab some blue, and again, dab some blue in there, and maybe some blue here. How about it? Wow. And rinse it out, and I'll take a little bit of the red, why not? And, ooh, that was a lot. So maybe I'll put a little bit of the red here, and just a little bit here. Okay, and so you can see lots and lots and lots of pigment. It's bubbling up, and I'm just going to go in the direction of the feathers, get behind the paint, and give it a quick blow. There. Oh, it's fun. You know, you just never know 100% what's going to happen. Got a little bit there. And it went into the body a little bit here. I'm not going to panic or anything, but I'm just going to grab a little tissue and just kind of lift it out. It doesn't matter much, but you know, I want to try and keep it to the feathers right now. Blow that off. And I might go in and just take a little bit more of maybe the red here. And I'm just dabbing that in. And then let's see. There we go. All right, so that's that part of the wing. And just so you can see on the other one here, I can do a little blow on that one for those of you that have this particular birdie. And maybe here I'll go on this wing first and get a little bit of water. I'm just going to start out here and again go a little bit with the water in the direction that the feathers are going. Can you see? A bit this way, like that. And doing the exact same thing. I happen to have it in a red now, so I'm just going to start with red. So let's start with some red here. And just, oops, because I don't want to rinse all that red out. This is where you can do a 2-brush approach or even a 3-brush approach if you want to, and keep 1 brush for red, 1 brush for yellow, and 1 brush for blue. That way you don't have to rinse them out if you're so inclined. Just use this little one, doesn't matter so much. A lot of the blue in here, maybe a little bit of blue out here, just because. There we have it. And I'm just going to leave those like that. And now these feathers are going kind of like this way, so I'm going to try and blow them that way. Okay, and looks like I should put a little bit more. What color is that? That's red. So maybe I'll put a little red here and see if I can get a little bit more action in this part. Yeah. And yeah, and it's just one of those, you just take what you can get. Don't be too worried about it. We can always add on. And so I'm going to put a little bit more water on here and this way. And then I'm going to put some pigment on. Where do I have that? Here. Let's see. It's yellow, I think. So let's put a little yellow on here. A little bit more there. And then I can put a little bit of blue on, just to get a little color variance. And here. And then I can put a little bit of red in too. There. And see how they also run together. And let's see, that goes a little bit more that direction. Okay, so there's that beginning of that wing. And can you see, it gives it, what I like is it gives it movement. And it, you know, there's no way of getting too tight here. So I'm going to do that on the wings, and then I'm going to do it on the tail. But I'll let you try and start with a couple of the wings, whichever bird you have. So the next thing I should do is I should try and get the other parts of the wing in. So there's some wing action going on down here, where you can see a little bit of the wing on this side of the bird. Whoops, there was a drip in an unapproved area. So let's just get a little bit of pigment on. So I'm just going to go. So I'm leaving a little area because I think there's a little bit of a leading edge there of the wing there. So I'm not going all the way into the body. And grab another one. So maybe I'll take some of the red here. Put a little bit of the red on. So you can see I have, now that you've tried it, you can see I have quite a lot of pigment on, because otherwise it's, you know, there's nothing really to blow, right? Some of you might have noticed that it was, you know, not so easy if you don't have it bubbling up. Can you see how it kind of bubbles up there? And let's see which direction it's going. It's going this way. Aha. And you need to kind of get behind it. And that's fine. Got very far there. And I'm just going to dab this out a little bit. There. And now I'm going to put a little bit of the blue in, I think. So I have here And then I want to be very careful that I get around that beak. And I would like to have it a little bit darker around the beak. So I'm just going to outline the beak a little bit here. Carefully. There. Might even take a little bit of the yellow and put it in here. And rinse it out. Maybe I'll put a little bit of the red on here. There. And then see how I'm also holding it in a direction that I really want it to go. So this one. And see here, it wouldn't blow because I didn't apparently have enough on. So I'm just going to dab in some more and then try and get behind it. Okay, leave that for now. And then I'm going to go and do this one here. And here, I'm going to go in and I'm going to put a little bit of water right here and then this edge here. And then make sure it gets a few little streaks of water down like that. Can you see it? Be nice if I could get a little highlight on this end of the wing. So I'll put yellow on, which is my lightest color. So, you know, you can certainly think about, you know, what colors you want to happen. So here, I'll put a little bit of the red on. And all the way down there maybe. And a little bit here. There. And let's get some of the blue on. Because I would like to have the wing back here, this part of the wing. I think I would like it, if it's a little dark, that would be nice because then could also get a highlight on the leading edge there. So let's try that. There's a little bit of that. Okay, so. Oh, I like it. All right.
Nice.
That's pretty nice. And let's do a little bit more.
Eva, have you ever tried just blowing directly down? Not making the streaks, but just to mix the colors on the paper.
You can. It's hard not to get it to.
Mixing so incredibly beautifully.
Yeah, they are.
And I think, wow, that would be nice in just regular paintings.
Yeah, you can
Just
totally try that out. And that's exactly by doing some of these like a little bit unconventional things. You know, maybe you see something happening that reminds you of something else, and maybe not even what you're painting, but then make a mental note, maybe even make a real note of it and says, next time I paint X, Y, or Z, remember that that's what happened when I did this, you know, so you can kind of develop new methods that way. I'm sure that's how a lot of these things came up. They happened by happenstance. So I just wanted to blow a couple of these droplets out. And then I'm going to show you the tail. And then pretty soon, oops, I had a little blue one here. Oh, well.
You wanted a blue tail, right?
Blue tail, I guess. So put a little bit of the red in. And I can put a little bit of yellow in up here. It's very wet. This is a little wetter than I have done the other times, but oh well. We'll see what happens. Can you see how wet it is? Can't even tilt my paper too much. It's going to start running. Ha!
Wow.
Look at that.
Wow.
And so you can see those little short bursts of those blows are, those are great. So let's see. Maybe we'll do a little bit more blue in here. I think there's also a little bit of feathers going down that way. Let's see. All right. And I'll just do a little bit on this.
It's hard to stop, isn't it?
It's very hard to stop. And so then I have kind of blown everywhere where I want to blow, and then we're going to go in and do some of the body parts and kind of start connecting it all. Right now it's kind of very disjointed. So I'm just dabbing in a little bit of the red there. And just do some blue on this side. So there's that. And then for good measure, just put a little bit of the yellow in there. And let's see what we can do here. There we go. I think we need a little bit more, not so much water. A little bit more of the red over here maybe. And we'll do a little bit more of the blue over here. Actually also goes around.
Did you
It's
wet
a
the
little footsie.
paper, or did you just add water to your pigment?
I just, I put a little bit of water around first,
Okay.
and then it's pigment. But I did put a little bit of water on, but not as much as I did some of the other places. Which you can see now is actually also harder for me to blow, because I should probably put more water on. And I'll do one more with a bigger brush.
Can you add over dry paint?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You can add on, and I'll do a couple of places like here. You know, it's still a little wet, but good. And then let's just look at some of the places I blew. Like here, I didn't get that much, did I? So I could go back in again and add on, so you can totally build it up. Say here, want to put on a little bit more. Got a little wimpy there. See? So yeah, you can totally do that. As much or as little as you feel that it's needed. So then we have all the different parts, the two wings and the tail, and it's just kind of like it's like the skeleton almost, like we're putting on, to kind of like the direction. I think it gives it a dynamic feel, even when we paint over it. So you can go do some more blowing. So, I'm gonna start with this birdie down here, and the first thing you might want to do on the birds is, if you have masking fluid, now this happens to be a masking pen, but you know, if you have it in a bottle or whatever, just find a little stick, or you can borrow this one, or you know, little stick like this, or toothpick, or the back end of a brush. Doesn't matter. We want to get just that little sparkle in the eye masked out, just so we save it. And if for some reason we don't get it saved, it's no big deal. That's where white paint comes in. But since I remembered, I'm just going to give him a little masking fluid. Masking fluid is a latex that dries on the paper, and then we can paint over it after it's dry. And then when we're ready to get that little white sparkle in the eye, we can rub off the masking fluid, and we've saved the white of the paper. And you can also use masking fluid on top of areas that you have painted if you want to save lighter areas and you want to be able to paint around it without having to be super careful. That's where masking fluid comes in. So it's a very helpful tool. So let's get a little bit of just color on his body. Let's make sure this is dry. You never ever want to, you don't want to put masking fluid on wet or damp paper, and you don't want to start painting over masking fluid before it's dried, because you know, you don't want to get it in your brush. It's going to ruin your brushes. So I have my same old colors, and I think they're good to go. Give them a little whiff. So, there. And then I'm going to take some clean water, and then I'm just going to go in. Oops, somebody didn't rinse her brush out very well, did she now? Doesn't matter too much, but I'm setting a bad example. So I'm going to put a little bit of water kind of on the top of his body. A little bit more than that. And I'm not going to paint his beak right, just yet. That's gonna be separate. Can you see I put kind of water on the top part of him?
Yes.
I didn't go all the way up to the pencil line. I left myself a little bit of room just because the water creeps and the pigment's gonna creep a little bit. All right, so I'm gonna start with a little bit of the yellow, just because that's what I feel like. And so I'm gonna run some of that yellow here, the whole way down. So a little bit more pigment. There was a lot of water in that yellow, so I want to do a little bit more. Here it is, just follow it. Now I can go all the way to the line. So there's that. And I'm gonna rinse it out. And I'm gonna go in and get some of my blue. Here we go. French ultramarine blue. Dab, dab. I'm gonna go in, go around the beak. I'm back on the towel here because I could see it ran a little bit more than maybe I would want it to run. So I'm just gonna go around his beak, around his little eye here. With the tip of my brush, there, I think that'll work. And then I'm gonna go in here and run that. Can you see I'm running the blue into the yellow a little bit so I get a nice transition of green. Put a little bit up here, this one, there. And again, it's your choice what colors you want to use. And now I'm gonna rinse it out again, and I think I'm gonna go in and get a little bit of red on. Dab, dab. And I might turn this little birdie around so that it's easier for me to get to him. And I'm gonna put red on his belly.
So on the belly, you did not wet the paper first?
No, it was a little drier there. I got a little bit of a line here that I'm not crazy about. I think I can get rid of it. There. Little white sparkle where I don't want it. So now I have already kind of painted his body. And he's like a special kind of rainbow bird. But these birds are not meant to be, obviously, for the Audubon Society. These are meant for just fun birds. That's all. All right, so I'm gonna let that dry. And I can go up and why don't I, so the body on this one's gonna be similar. Same idea, so I'll show you again. So I just run a little bit of water, mainly on the top part of the bird, because I want the top part to be a little lighter, because I'm thinking, you know, the light hits it. So, and then a little bit around here just to guide the pigment. So again, kind of like that. It's not super precise by any stretch of the imagination. So maybe this one here, maybe I should start with a little red just because I want to mix it up a little bit. So here's this birdie. And I'm just going to go a little careful around his eye and, you know, his beak. So this is a little control. They look more like parrots right now, don't they? And a little bit around the eye here. And then rinse that out. And now I'm going to grab some of the yellow. And I think I'm going to go over the red with the yellow to get it kind of more orangey. Ooh, I like that. And again, it's my bird. I decide what color it is. So there. And rinse that out. And this time I think I'm gonna go with some of the blue. I didn't mix myself enough blue, I don't think so. There. So let's go in here and I'm gonna dab on the towel. I'm gonna grab here. And then I'm going to actually see if I can paint around, you know, kind of a little bit of that foot that's sticking out there. It would be nice if I could kind of paint around that a little bit. And then I'm going to rinse my brush out. So can you see? I don't want it that hard lined. So I rinse my brush out and dry it off on the towel. So now the brush is clean, but it's just damp. And so I'm going to go in from the dry side and just with the tip of the brush, just kind of tickle that little area a little bit, just so it's not such a hard edged. Can you see that? And now it's softer. And then I can pick it up later with some other color, and it's not going to be such a harsh, hard line. And I like the way that kind of flowed up. That looks kind of fun. So that's good. And see how this is drying now, and it's drying nice. I get all these different colors. That's what I like about it. So the other thing I could do, I think I can do it. Let's get a little bit of that pencil line out. That's just my own little obsession. You don't have to pay no attention to that. I'm going to go in, maybe with a little bit of a smaller brush, and I'm going to try to get a little color on that beak. I think that beak, I'm going to do it on dry. So I'm just going to put a little bit of the yellow on the whole beak. Try that method. A little bit of yellow on the whole beak. Clean it out. Clean it out. Now I have a thirsty brush, we call it, and it means a clean brush that has barely, and I've kind of took all the water out of it again, so it's almost dry. And then I'm going to go in and see if I can lift out a little bit of that yellow on the top side of this beak. Yeah, got a little bit of that out. And now I'm going to get my tip of my brush, just a tip, because you know I'm operating with a very small little area of the bird, and I think I'm going to get a little bit of that red on top of this yellow before it dries. And then I'm going to rinse it out, dab my brush, and then just kind of have a soft transition. Can you see that? So it's already giving the beak a little bit of shape, I feel. Yeah? Okay. So now I probably better let it dry. What about his little feet here? That could be kind of fun. So I have a little bit of the yellow here. I'm going to put it, now I'm going to mix actually on my palette, which I don't do a lot. So I have red on my brush. I'm going to put a little bit of that in to create that orangey color. And I don't want his feet to draw too much attention, because they're not that important. So I'm going to take a little bit of the blue, which is complementary color to orange, and I'm going to put that in. Can you see how that graded down? So this time, we did it on purpose, right? When we do it on purpose, it's all fine. It's when it happens when we didn't want it to happen. And then over here, actually, I see there I can have a darker, cooler color. So I already have two variations of that kind of, I don't know, dirty orange. And that's a good, I think that's a good color for his little footsies here. So let's just, and it's a small area, so I think I'll just do it on dry, so that's wet on dry. And I'm going to use the more orangey, lighter of the colors. I'm just going to fill that out here. Back on the thing, back on my towel if I feel it's getting too. So I'm going down here. And I'm not all that great at painting birds' feet, so that's why I don't want them to be too prominent. So, but he's got to have them, right? He's going to look weird if he didn't have them. So there's no getting around it. So here I'm just going to fill in with a little color here. So that's what it looks like at this stage. So very flat. You see that? But it's a good color, I think. And then, not even going to bother rinsing out my brush. I just dabbed it on my towel a little bit. And now I'm going to go into that darker, this darker color that I made over in the blue with the orange that I transferred over here. And then before it dries on me, hopefully before it dries on me, I'm going to just dab a little bit in, just barely touching my tip of my brush in here. Can you see how that darker color is kind of rushing in a little bit? Mm-hmm. And it's creating a little bit of a shadow. And I'm going to do it in between his little toesies here. And So now it's already beginning to get a little bit of shape, and I'm feeling encouraged. So I'm gonna do a little bit more. Yeah, now we're talking. And there's in between here, just to separate them a little bit. There. Dab a little bit more in. Can you see that now? It's giving it more volume. Can you see it over here too? So that's good. And since that was successful, let's do the other one. And I'm going to do the same thing. Go into the orangey toned down color that I have. And he has his second foot is showing here. Back on my towel, it was too wet. His second little footsie is showing here. And so I just put that first color in. Just wet on dry, so wet on dry application. And again, I'm finding his little toesies. And there's the third one. There. So you can see there's the first coat. And I have a feeling I applied that a little bit wetter, so I'm going to get the moisture out of my brush, and then I'm going to go in, get a little bit more of the orange in, and go into that darker, little bit darker color that I have created. And again, I'm going to go in from this side here. So now I couldn't get anything to run off my brush because I didn't have enough moisture on pigment on. So let's try and see if I'm more lucky now. Yeah, now it's... So I went in and I reapplied. And then I'm going to go in here and create a little bit of a shadow side to these little feet. And so you can see there's the first coat. I have to let it dry a little bit. Gotta give it a little bit more oomph. Dab, dab, dab. And I'm gonna go in, do a little bit more. Yeah, now it's more the right consistency. And now I'm gonna go in. I'm getting braver by the moment. And dabbing in a little bit more here. And you can see it's just with the tip. I'm letting it just gently spread. A little bit more, maybe up there. So here. All right. I think I'll leave that for now. And then I'm going to go in on the first footsie. And now I'm going to need, I'm out of the yellow now, so I'm going to need to put a little bit more yellow in here. And so I'm going to go in, create a darker orange. Can you see I have more pigment on now? And I also ran out of my French Ultramarine blue, so I'm going to put that over here. So I have a clean puddle. And then I'm going to go here. Now, see, that's really thick. See how I'm creating almost a black? Because now I have a lot of pigment. And I'm mixing the complementary colors, blue and orange. So now I've got a nice little color for his, I don't know if this brush is mighty big for this stuff, but because it has a nice tip, I think I can get away with it. Time will tell. So this one that's dry, I'm gonna go in because he does have some little claws. Give his little claws here. Claw there. And we can see a little bit of a claw there. And just because I don't want it like too dark, I'm gonna dab it out right away. So that, can you see? Now they're there, but they're not, you know, I don't want it to look too much down on his feet. And so I toned them down, and there's a little claw on there, there's a little claw on there, and there's a little claw on there. I'm gonna do the same thing. Dab it out. And I'm feeling like I could doctor those little feet up a little bit more. So let's see if I can get a little bit of a darker color. Not that dark. So this is a darker orange color that I mixed from the puddles I have on. So I'm gonna go in. Just do a little bit here on that side. And then right away with a clean brush, I'm going in from the dry side and just sticking my little tip of my brush in there. There. And can you see now it has more shape? And since that worked out fine, let's do it on this one. I'm gonna do that even a little bit thicker. And clean brush, damp, only damp. Don't have it dripping wet because that's gonna be a disaster. Just like this. That's called, in watercolor terms, I'm losing the edge. Very important. Losing the edge, not my mind, just the edge. Very important technique in watercolor. Basically, it's a lot about the edges. So we have hard edges. This is a hard edge. We have soft edges, or they're also sometimes called lost edges. These, like where the colors just kind of either disappear into nothing or into another color, where there's no sharp definition. So, and I'm just feeling encouraged, so I'm just gonna go in and see if I can just do his foot a little bit better here. There. Dab that and dab that. This does take a little bit of practice, but it's totally doable if you just take one little area. See, that was way too much, way too dark, but I'm not gonna panic just yet. Just take it out. All right, so I think those feet are pretty okay for 30 bird feet, and I should probably, so then I can do that demo again next time. I have left a foot, and then we're going to, and this beak is not finished, but I can get it, also demo the beak from start to finish on that one, and then his eyes. The eyes are the most important part in anything live, human or animals. So as long as we can get the eyes expressive, you can get away with a lot of sins, so to speak. So I'm going to leave the birdies to this stage, and then we're going to, these will easily finish next time.